would like to introduce you to the concept of the Box of Deaf-Blindness. This is a visual model designed to help understand how to facilitate engaged learning with students who are deaf-blind. This model came out of my experience as a parent of a deaf-blind child. When Dylan was born, we knew he was completely deaf by the time he was 5 days old. Later tests would prove this was to be true. We also knew he had blind spots, these things called colobomas. What we didn't know was how well he was going to see with those colobomas. We were told to wait and see. So we began to parent Dylan as a deaf child with a vision loss and celebrated any indication at all that he could see. But then people started using this word deaf-blind. Deaf-blind created a horrible image in my mind of Dylan alone in a dark box, trapped, unreachable. Yes, I knew about Helen Keller, and I knew that language and interaction were possible. But I also knew that Helen Keller had exposure to language before she lost her vision and hearing. How was I going to reach Dylan? How was I going to know him, what he thought, what he felt, what he believed, what he wanted? How was he going to know us? How was I going to let him know that everything was okay and that I loved him? Fortunately, that image of Dylan in a box, alone, trapped, dark, unreachable, did not last long. I quickly came to realize that Dylan was in a treasure box, his very own treasure box, a box that kept him safe and protected from the world. And I knew it was going to be up to Roy and I to figure out how to help Dylan come out of that box and engage with the world. Now, when you think about it, we all have our own protective treasure boxes too. If you have a migraine, if you've had a stressful event, if you didn't get breakfast, if the traffic was bad on the way to work, many things make us withdraw inside the treasure box. But on the other hand, there are certain environments that we know that we come out more easily, that we participate more fully in life around us. The same is true for the students that we work with. Now, the Box of Deaf-Blindness is a model to help us learn how we can help our students become more fully engaged in life. What are the things that cause them to retreat into their protective box, and what are the things that help them come out and engage with the world? We start with the box. The box contains the essence of who Dylan is. His personality, his thoughts, his ideals, his experiences. There's a lid on top of the box, and it's sealed shut, and I don't see a key. Intuitively, I knew Dylan had the key to open the box, and that I was going to have to enter his world so that he would be motivated and secure enough to use his key and to venture out into mine. But how was I going to enter his world without a key of my own? Where are the windows? Now, off of this box come 2 arms and 2 legs, and there's 2 eyes, and a nose, and a mouth, and 2 ears. These are the windows into the brain. But in deaf-blindness, these windows aren't fully open. Now let's look at Dylan's box. What are the windows into his brain? We know he has no hearing. Let's cross off the ears. No indication that he smells. We'll cross off the nose. Tube fed since he was 2 weeks old. Nonverbal. Let's put an arrow down to indicate those limited oral experiences. And then his eyes. He has those colobomas, those blind spots that involve the retina and the optic nerves. But there is some vision left. Let's see. On the right, he has some peripheral vision available, so the window's partially open there. And on the left, the macula is intact, so he has some central vision available there. But he also has some visual processing difficulties, so we'll put these little antennas with little squiggly lines on the top of his box to indicate that some of the information coming in is still not processed efficiently. What other ways can we reach Dylan? His skin. Throughout his entire body, the box is covered in skin. And the box can move. We can interact and provide information through movement. And vibration. Providing input, rhythm, repetition. Also a way to provide information to the brain. Now you can imagine, with so many sensory channels closed, with such a lack of information, that the first advice we received was to provide Dylan sensory stimulation, to make sure we provided enough input to make up for this lack of information. But as discussed in the video on the brain, information that does not have meaning is perceived by the brain as stress. And what do you think is going to happen to the lid on the box with stress? That's right, the lid's going to close. It's going to close tight. And do you have the key to open the lid? No, the child does. Now each student is going to demonstrate that their lid is closed in different ways. The lid being closed simply means the child is not engaged for learning. You might see it through what we call behaviors. The child might start acting silly, might start throwing things, might run out of the classroom. Maybe they're perceived as underperforming academically. Or you might see the lid being closed through physical complaints. For Dylan, it's migraines. For other students, it might be seizures. Some students simply go to sleep. There's a song I particularly like, "You Can't Make a Turtle Come Out" by Malvina Reynolds. She says, "My little friend Noah has some pet turtles. He called them a gook. He discovered that you can't make a turtle come out. The more you make it, the more it won't." The same is true in deaf-blindness. If your student has closed the lid, the more you try to force the lid open, the more likely the student is going to stay safe and secure and withdrawn in that box, or that they might flare up outside of the box. So if you can't force the lid open, what can you do? The first thing you have is your relationship. It's through the emotional security and connection that a student has with their communication partner that helps them feel that it's okay to come out. And then you might need to provide environmental supports. How do you structure the environment that makes the information available to them more accessible? For Dylan, it's things like blocking glare, shutting out the light and the reflection that's going to pull his attention away from the visual stimulus that you need him to focus on. It's going to be minimizing other distractions in the room. It may be some of the deaf-blind strategies that you use. For Dylan, we use a lot of hand-under-hand support. It helps his eyes and the tactile system work together to provide more meaning to the information that he's receiving. There are other kinds of physical supports. A simple touch to his hips that help him feel grounded and secure so his eyes can work more steadily when he's working at the chalkboard or painting the box as seen in the picture. We have found that for Dylan, intervention is its own kind of key. It's the key that has provided individuals that understand how to form the relationship and how to use deaf-blind educational strategies in ways that allow Dylan to use his key and to come out and engage with the world. With intervention, Dylan is so engaged and independent. Without it, he's alone in a world of movement and visual stimulation, a world I call La La Land. Same individual, completely different levels of interaction and function. With intervention, you can help a deaf-blind student come out of their box and engage with the world.